In today's video, we're going to be learning how to do some simple character modeling. This right here is our final product. It's a basic humanoid with a torso, a head, a neck, arms, hands, some basic fingers, legs, and a foot. So, to start off, we're going to open Blender and make a general project, like usual. Now, you don't have to do this, but I like turning on matte cap and using this color and turning on cavity to both. That way it's just clearer where the edges of things are so I know when I'm modeling. So to start off, we're going to take our cube, and the way that I'm going to do this, because we need it to be symmetrical, you don't have to, but for this we're going to do it symmetrically. So I'm going to subdivide it so that I can cut off half of the cube. Or another way you could go about doing that is with the knife tool. Or you could add a loop cut. So I'm actually going to go with adding a loop cut. So what you do is you press Ctrl R, you choose the direction, and then you add it. So now I'm going to delete that half. And as you can see, it made that. And it's fine to leave this open because we're going to mirror it, but I'm going to fill it in. So to start off, if you look at the torso, we want it to be wider right below the arms and above the hip. So what we're going to do is take this side and scooch it out a little. But now we're going to press 3 for face selection, and we're going to extrude upwards. And we're also going to extrude downwards. This will be where it starts thinning for the shoulders and the arms and the neck, and this will be where it starts thinning for the hip and the legs. So to do that, we're going to press 1 to go back to vertex selection, and then just scooch these in a bit. There are other methods to doing this, but I find this to be one of the easiest ones for when you're just getting started. So now, I think we should work first on the legs, since that's a bit easier than the arms. So we're going to take this face right here in face selection. Whoops. So press 3, then extrude that downwards. And what we're going to do is we're going to scale it down a bit to make the leg thinner, as you can see there. Then we're going to extrude once more and thin it again. Now we're going to fix how wide it is later, but now we're going to make the foot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude it downwards by a lot. Then I'm going to extrude this face outwards. And I'm going to come in vertex mode and just shorten that distance a bit. Oh, forgot to turn on X-ray mode for that. And boom, that's your leg. If you want it to be longer, you can select the vertices up here and then everything below it. And then once you have that, you can scooch that down a bit, and you can repeat it for the foot so that the leg's just a bit longer. And that works pretty well. I'm also going to increase the height of the torso right here because this just looks kind of wrong. There, that's better. Now I'm going to increase the area of that bit, go to face selection mode with 3. I'm going to extrude this outwards, and I'm going to scale it down. This is going to be the start of the arm, so I'm going to repeat that once more. And then right here, for the wrist, I'm actually going to scale it up a bit. And I'm going to extrude, and this will be where we put the fingers. So to do that, we're going to go back to vertex selection. Now you could add a loop cut here, but since I don't want it doing one across the entirety of the mesh, I'm going to use the knife tool, hold down Shift, and then do that on both sides. Then press Enter to finalize that, and K again. And boom. Now we have 4 faces here, which we can use for the fingers. So we're going to go back to face selection, and as you may know, your hand, you have your 4 fingers, index, middle, ring, and pinky, and then your thumb off to the side. And the thumb sticks up. So what we're going to do is, since in this case the hand is kind of rotated, we're going to have this be the index finger. So this one will be a little bit shorter than the, well, yeah. So what we're going to do is have that be the index finger, or you could do the pinky, which will be a little bit shorter than the middle finger. So we're going to extrude that out, scale that down a little bit, then extrude it again, scale that down, and extrude it one final time for the tip. Now, I think that's a little bit too big on the fingers, so I'm going to extrude it, scale it down a bit more, and then do that. And then we'll also mess with the scaling once we're done with the fingers. So this will be the middle finger, which will go a little bit longer. Then the ring finger, which is roughly the same length as the index finger. And now that that's done, we're going to do the pinky. And real quick, if you look at your hand, you'll notice that the pinky goes roughly down to the ring finger's second joint where it's not on the hand. Well, the second joint on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that one, but we're going to have a lot shorter length right here, and then it's going to reach right up to there. And that's the 4 fingers aside from the thumb. So we're going to use the knife tool over here, hold Shift to make a straight line right there, press Enter, K again, and now we have a spot for the thumb. So we're going to extrude that outwards, scale it down, and extrude one more time. And what's interesting about the thumb is it only has 1 joint in between instead of the 2 for all the other fingers. So that's the thumb. And if you want to, you can spend more time working on making them look a bit better, but for me, this is all that I need. So now if you want to mess with scaling a bit, you can turn on X-ray mode and try like selecting some of the faces, maybe flattening it a bit. So yeah, you can see there I have all the faces of the fingers. And then I'll also do the thumb. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale it down a bit on the Z-axis. Oop. And since it's at an angle, I'm also going to have to do the Y-axis. And there, that's looking better. And then maybe I'll even make them a little bit less wide. There. Now on to making the neck and head. So we're going to go over to right here. We're going to extrude it again. Press 1 for vertex, and then we're going to scooch that in. And now we have roughly the size of half of our neck. So we're going to do 3 for face selection, extrude upwards, extrude again, and this is where the head's going to go from being thin where the neck is to widening out a bit. There. Then we can extrude one more time for the height of our head. Extrude a little bit more for the part where it peaks at your skull and at the top of your head, so this will be roughly where your forehead is. And now we have our simple character. So I'm going to press A, go to scale, and do that to flatten it a bit. And now that length and width is looking a bit better. So now just to double check, you're going to go to the Show Overlays icon. It's the 2 circles overlapping. Make sure that it's highlighted in blue, so it's on. Click the drop down next to it, and make sure that face orientation is checked. And that if there's any faces that are like bright red, then, which there aren't any here because I don't think I messed up on that, but if there were any bright red faces, what you would do is you do A, then Shift N, and that recalculates the normals and flips the ones that need to be flipped. So now that our character is done, we're going to tab into object mode, add modifier, and choose mirror. Then you're going to choose Y. Oh, hold up, sorry, I'll be right back. Okay, so as you can see, it's a little bit far apart, so we're going to, oh, that's why. So if this happens to you, just do right click, set origin, and origin to geometry. Or what you can do is you can move the 3D cursor onto where you want the origin to be. So I'll say right there. Then I'll do set origin, origin to 3D cursor. And then that'll move the mirrored side onto it. So we're going to choose clipping, and we're going to raise the merge threshold so it merges both halves together. Then you can press apply, and now your model's done. I hope that this video helps, and I hope that this helps you learn how to do character modeling and that you expand on this further. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.